Her triumphs? I took a group of women that didn't believe in themselves, and I just believed in them. Her trials?
I never wanted to go to practice. I was losing a ton of weight.
Her story?
I just put my faith in God and just trusted the system.
Her why?
I want people to see what I did and say, oh, that's so awesome. I'm going to be better than that. That would be how I hope that this journey ends.
This is Her Why, where we tell the stories from BYU women's sports. Here is your host, Lauren McLean.
We're so glad you've joined us for Her Why, where we celebrate the women who make BYU sports great. Joining us now is former BYU women's soccer star and current attacker for the U.S. women's national team and the leading goal scorer for the top-ranked Washington Spirit, Ashley Hatch. Thank you so much for coming on, Ash.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
You have been a very, very busy woman. And I don't know, do you like being busy, first of all? Do you like that feeling?
Yeah.
Good.
Yes, I do.
Well, good thing,
Yes.
Because even with the offseason for the Washington Spirit, you were called up to play for the U.S. women's national team 3 times against South Africa in September, Colombia in October, and China in December. You've played for the national team before, but you were left off the roster for the World Cup this last summer. How did it feel getting back on the team and getting able to play and under a different coach?
It was exciting. Every time I'm invited into national team camp, it's always an amazing and unique opportunity and an honor. The first camp back from not making the roster was fun, but also kind of a little bit of a challenge, like coming back into that environment. But everyone in the environment, like the players, the new coaching staff, but also the coaching staff that was with me prior to the World Cup was all very welcoming and stuff. So it didn't take me long to feel comfortable around everyone again. And then, of course, I love competing at the highest level. So stepping out on the field and practicing with the team and obviously playing in the games was something that I just loved to do. So, yeah, it was great.
You mentioned that it was fun, but it was a challenge. What would you say was the most challenging part about it?
I would say probably just reminding myself that I do belong here and I can do this. I think the rejection of not making the World Cup roster was a pretty big one, the biggest one in my career so far. And so I think dealing with that, like while the World Cup was happening and still playing in the NWSL and then coming back and like having that confidence to step back on the field with this team and being like, I know that I belong here. I know that I can play at this level. I know that I can play with these girls. I feel like that was probably the most challenging part. But as soon as we started playing, I feel like that confidence just came back because, like I said, I just enjoy competing and playing and pushing myself. As soon as we stepped on the field, I feel like all those nerves and everything went away.
I can't imagine how difficult that was for you because you were the best in high school, your club teams, you were the best at BYU, and you're the best in the professional league as well. And then you get this rejection. So what do you feel like you've learned just about yourself since being left off that roster?
I've learned so much, and I feel like I'm still continuing to learn more just like about myself and just life in general and like the true meaning of this life and just like my purpose. And I feel like I learned that I'm a lot more than soccer and whatever my accolades are or are not. Yeah. I also just learned that I can get a lot of strength from the people around me. I feel like going through such like a hard rejection and a public rejection is really, really difficult. But the amount like of overwhelming support and love that I felt from family and friends and strangers was pretty incredible and not something that like I really anticipated to happen. I don't know. I didn't really know what I would expect, but it was pretty cool. And so I just realized I have so much love and support. And so like it gave me a lot more confidence going forward that like no matter what happens in my career, ultimately at the end of the day, like there's a lot of people cheering me on and that like believe in me and like what more could I want? What more could I ask for? And so that was one of the biggest things that I learned that I know for sure I don't think I would have really learned how much support I had, like the magnitude of support I had if I hadn't gone through that. But yeah, so I'm super grateful for that. And then obviously just like with my husband, just like refocusing like our goals as a family and where we want to go in life and what really, really matters to us and the things that really, really matter to us, like we have. And so I think just like focusing on that and expressing like a gratitude for all the things that I do have is something that really helped give me strength to like continue to move on. And like I still get to play the game of soccer. So like it's still such a huge blessing. And so I think focusing on those things just helped me continue to grow through that hardship.
What an incredible perspective. And while the World Cup was going on, you were focusing on the National Women's Soccer League. Like you said, you were still playing soccer. You started in all 22 of the regular season matches. Did you feel like you had something to prove at that time?
Yes and no. I feel like I had more of a sense of freedom. I feel like leading up to the World Cup, we have like every single match is watched and probably scrutinized because they're like, it's a really hard decision for the coaching staff, right? They have probably a pool of like 30 to 50 players that they have to narrow down to 23 players. And so leading up to that final decision, like there was a lot of, I mean, I handled it well, but there's still a lot of stress and anxiety and just like over analyzing like your play. Like, am I playing well enough to get selected for the roster? Am I doing all the things that I think the coach wants me to be doing to make this World Cup roster? But as soon as that decision was made and I obviously didn't make it, I still had the opportunity to continue to play, but that decision wasn't really hanging over my head anymore.
Yeah.
And so I felt this like sense of freedom and excitement and almost kind of like, I don't know, like a little kid again. Like there's no, like, I'm just here to play with my friends and try and win some soccer games. And so I think simplifying it like that really helped me just to play more free, play more like myself. And of course I'm a competitor. So like, yeah, I wanted to prove to the world that, you know, I'm a really good soccer player, whether the coach picks me to be on the team or not. And playing soccer with my Washington Spirit teammates was really fun too, because there was a lot of girls who maybe weren't in contention for a World Cup roster spot, but they were fighting to be in the starting lineup and they hadn't been until the World Cup girls left. And now they were on the field as well. And so it was cool to create that bond with them, with those girls that were in a similar position of just like wanting more for themselves and their career and like wanting to play soccer. And so it was a really cool time frame of the season.
You handled it with so much grace. I was just so impressed. And I'm so glad that things worked out to where they are now. BYU had 5 players drafted into the NWSL. Brecken Mozingo, Olivia Smith-Griffiths, head of the Utah Royals, Olivia Wade-Katoa, she's headed to the Portland Thorns, Jamie Shepard, and Leveni Vaca headed to San Francisco with the Bay. What's your advice for these women as they head to the pros?
Just enjoy it. Like, it's such an exciting time. The league is in such a better spot than it was when I started playing, and it's just gonna continue to get better and better for them and for everyone in the league. And a small piece of advice that was given to me when I was a rookie is like everyone's path and everyone's journey is different. So don't compare your path or your journey to anyone else's. So that's the advice I would give them. Just soak it up. Like, we get to play soccer for a living. We get paid to step out on the pitch every day and play soccer with our friends. And it's pretty amazing when you put it into that perspective. And whether you're starting or not starting or you don't get rostered yet, like the whole process is just really cool and really exciting and just to enjoy it.
Yeah, I think that's great advice for anybody, right? In whatever journey or path they're headed in.
Yeah.
You're a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and you once mentioned in a Deep Blue on BYUtv that growing up, you chose not to play soccer on Sundays. Did that standard play a role in you choosing to go to BYU? Because you had so many schools after you. How did you decide?
Yeah, I mean, not playing on Sundays was like definitely a big part of my upbringing and my youth. And so the opportunity to continue that at the college level was really enticing and something that I really wanted. But like as soon as I stepped on to be like BYU's campus, went to the BYU soccer camps, like got to go to BYU soccer game at Southfield, like I was like, this is really cool. This is something I want to be a part of. And so the Sunday thing was great, but there was also so much more that BYU had to offer that like really excited me and like the next step in my career. And so it just kind of was a full package for me. It wasn't too far away from home, but it still was a different state. So I was like out on my own, just like being a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and like being surrounded by other members was really, really cool. The opportunity to be able to talk about religion and my faith and beliefs like in classes was like a really unique opportunity that I also didn't want to pass up. And so, yeah, there was a lot of things that really put BYU at the top of my list.
Well, on the soccer side of things, your freshman season, In 2013, you stood out immediately, starting in every game, selected for the All WCC Freshman Team, All West Honorable Mention, WCC Freshman of the Year, and ranked in the freshman top 100. Looking back, what made it possible for you to have that kind of standout season that really set the precedent for your time playing with BYU?
To be honest, I think it stemmed from the confidence and belief that my family had in me, like all growing up. I think I have whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, I have more of a kind of a shy demeanor. I'm a competitor on the soccer field, but off the soccer pitch, you probably wouldn't know that I'm a super big competitor. But yeah, growing up with playing soccer with my sister and then my dad being like our coach pretty much all throughout our youth, they just instilled a lot of confidence and belief in me. And so leaving the house for the first time, living on my own, going to college, I had a lot of that belief in myself because of them. Mm-hmm. And so like there was no doubt in their mind that I could come in as a freshman and just like make an impact. And so that kind of just like influenced me to be like, yeah, like I can do this. And so I never shy away from like a challenge or an opportunity. And so I think having that mindset at home and then going to BYU just like really helped me make an impact from the beginning. It's
amazing the power that parents have on our mentality, right? It really is.
Yeah.
I still feel that way at my age now.
Yeah,
you shined your sophomore year as well, breaking a BYU record of taking 15 shots in a match, and you ended the season ranked among the top 10 nationally in goals per game and total goals. Did you feel pressure your sophomore year after having such a stellar freshman season?
I wouldn't say I felt a lot of pressure. I think it was more excitement because freshman year, everything's new, right? You don't know what to expect. Same as like your rookie year. You just like, it's a new season, new challenge, new teammates, new coaches. I think I went into my sophomore year with like more excitement of like, okay, I know how this works. I know what the season like looks like. I know what our competition looks like. I'm not the new kid anymore. So I'm excited to see like what I can do without that challenge of like the newness in my way.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say I felt pressure. I think it was like more excitement and more confidence.
You headed into your junior year with all the confidence in the world, and then you fracture your knee. How did that happen?
I'm pretty sure we were playing Oregon State in a game, and it was just kind of a funky tackle. Like I went in to get the ball and kind of like hyperextended my knee, but at the same time, some girl came into the side of me, and I just like felt this like sharp pain, and I didn't really know what it was, and so I came off the field and Carolyn did a lot of the tests on me. She's like, you're good. So I iced my knee and I went back in the second half and I actually played on it for like 2 games, but the pain started getting like unbearable. And then, we got some imaging and the doctor's like, yeah, you broke your knee basically. And I was just like, wow, this is crazy. So that's how it happened. It was in a game.
You played 2 more games on a broken knee. And then it wasn't until the pain just started getting worse that you even realized what had happened.
Yeah, eventually, I remember one practice, like after we had a road trip to California, I think we played Long Beach and maybe like Santa Clara or something. And I came back and we had practice the next day and I just stopped training and I sat down and I started crying. I was like, this hurts so bad. And then they're like, okay, we need to get you an image. And so we got an image and sure enough, they were like, yeah, you're going to be out non-weight bearing for 6 to 8 weeks.
Oh my goodness. What was it like for you when you received that news?
I feel like I felt a few different emotions. I think one, a little bit of relief just because I was in so much pain. I thought I was going crazy.
Yeah.
I was like, is something wrong with me? I don't know. I was still young in my career where I didn't know my body super well. I hadn't gone through like a major injury like that. So I thought I could just like push through it and it would be fine. So a little bit of relief of like, okay, like my body can like rest, but then like also kind of realizing I can't walk or play soccer for 6 to 8 weeks and I have to be on these crutches and I have to crutch around BYU campus and like, this is going to suck. So I kind of had like a whirlwind of all of those emotions, but I do think it gave me a new perspective and a new appreciation like early on in my career for just like a healthy body and being able to actually play soccer. When I was crutching around or like watching practice on my crutches, I was like, from this day on, I will never complain about a fitness test or anything physical because I would do anything in the world right now to be able to go like run the beep test with my teammates. So yeah, it gave me a much bigger appreciation for a healthy body.
Well, clearly everything worked out for you. You were a two-time collegiate All-American. When did it dawn on you that you were going to play professionally? Like, I am good enough that I can make it to the next level.
I would say I got that like validation when I got invited to my first ever full team camp. That was my senior year of college. I got invited to play with the senior women's national team. And that first training session with those girls who are not only professionals, but like the best in the world. And so like actually doing it and like seeing what the next step and the next level looked like really excited me. And I was like, hey, this is something I want to do. But I didn't tell anyone because I wanted to focus on my senior year at BYU. I wanted to stay present. So I wasn't like super vocal about it until after our season had ended.
We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll have more from former Cougar and current professional soccer player Ashley Hatch. Welcome back to Her Why. I'm Lauren McLean, continuing my conversation with Washington Spirit's Ashley Hatch. Ash, you were drafted by the North Carolina Courage as the second overall pick in 2017. I would imagine you felt fairly comfortable in your faith being here at BYU. What was it like when you left BYU behind and ventured out in the professional world?
It was great. I really, really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the opportunity to strengthen my testimony and just learn more about myself and the way I truly want to live my life. When you're surrounded by people that think the same as you and believe the same as you, it's, in my opinion, sometimes easier to get comfortable in the way you live your life. But when you're around people who maybe make different decisions or have just different priorities in life, it's very clear and you kind of stand out sometimes. Yeah. But I really enjoyed the opportunity, and I still enjoy the opportunity. I'm still playing among players that aren't of our faith, but the opportunity to kind of just share my beliefs and my faith with others is really fun.
Was it ever hard trying to find the balance between religion and playing soccer professionally?
I don't think so. I think just because my faith and my religion is such a big part of who I am that like I can't really separate them. So just me being me that's what what you see is what you get, and this is how I'm gonna live my life. And if you want to join me, great. If you don't, that's great. We're still gonna play soccer together and we're gonna have a great time. And so yeah, I don't think it was ever really challenging for me. I've just really enjoyed learning and growing with all the girls around me.
You were also doing long distance with your then boyfriend, now husband. Was it difficult being away from him when you first started?
Yeah, it was definitely hard, but we didn't know any different because when we started dating, it was long distance. I think the hardest part was when we had gotten married and then we still had to do distance because it was like, we're married, like we're supposed to be doing life together, but he was still in school and I was playing, or I still am in DC, but I was playing out in DC. And so I think that was the most challenging part. But thankfully now we get to be together all the time, which is great. But yeah, there was a span of probably about 2 years where we were doing distance back and forth, and he would come out in the summers, or anytime we play the Utah Royals, I'd try and stay out for another day or so. And you make it work. And when you find the person that you love, it's a sacrifice you're willing to make.
Absolutely. When you're traveling now so much and you don't get a lot of time together, how do you feel like he shows support for you in your career?
Jeff's honestly the most supportive husband I could have ever imagined I would marry. He's so great. We FaceTime at least once a day, depending on if we're busy, we'll at least say goodnight. We have a pretty good nightly routine. We do the We Believe app with the Come Follow Me scripture. We usually do that every single night, or we at least, if we don't have time for that, we'll just talk and say goodnight and stuff like that. But he's pretty good. He travels a lot to my games when he can. This past year, he actually surprised me in Cincinnati, my first U.S. national team game back from the World Cup. I didn't think he was going to come because he was busy with work, but after the game, he was there in the family section, which is pretty special. But yeah, he's super supportive. He shows up to the games when he can. And then, we just talk or text. He's really good at sending encouraging texts before games too, just reminding me that I'm a great player, but also that doesn't matter. He loves me no matter what. And knowing that before games is always very comforting.
What a good guy. What a great
Yeah.
husband. You've done a phenomenal job on the We Believe app, by the way. I've seen you on there a
Thank
few
you.
times. You're so good. You invited
Thank
some
you.
of your teammates to the DC Temple open house for the church. What was that experience like for you inviting them?
It was really, really cool. It was more of a vulnerable experience than I thought it would be, like sharing such a huge part of my life that doesn't come up, often or like on a normal, like daily basis. So inviting my teammates to that was really cool. I felt like even closer to my teammates just because I was sharing such a huge part of my life with them. It was cool to show them like just the importance of like service in our church, and like just the importance of temples and everything that happens with temples and why they're so important, and just the importance of family and everything. It's not just like this big, beautiful structure that we get to get married in for free, which is not wrong, but like that's kind of what their impressions are of the temple. And so yeah, it was a really unique opportunity.
What was their reaction to the temple when they first saw it?
I mean, the DC temple is beautiful. So like they have seen the outside of it. Actually, like the week before I took them through it, we were actually driving to New York, New Jersey for our game against Gotham. And we took the freeway right by the temple. And like I texted in our group chat, I was like, look to your left. That's the building we'll be going through like next week for anyone that wants to come. And they just thought it was amazing. The inside too, they actually had a lot more questions about what like actually went on in the temple and like what we do in the temple than they did about like the history of like the structure or the stained glass and all that kind of stuff. And I was kind of surprised about that, which was like really cool. And then the people that gave us the tour just did a phenomenal job of making everyone just feel welcome and comfortable and like willing to answer any and all questions. And my teammates actually had a lot of really good questions that just showed that they were actually enjoying it and they were actually like curious about everything. And so, yeah, it was really fun.
What an incredible opportunity. I watched a U.S. women's national team video of you when you were mic'd up for practice. I know you were watching your language. You probably always do. I heard a like, ay in there. Do you ever get teased for what you say or what you don't say on the field?
Yeah, but all in fun loving way. Like I think I say, oh gosh, or gosh dang it, like so much. I'm definitely not perfect. I like every once in a while a word will slip here or there. It doesn't come very naturally, but if it does, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, she's like really serious. But yeah, like I said, there's just like a part of me that I can't really separate. And so like on the field, when I show frustration, it's a little different than some of my teammates.
You've said that you want to use your platform to help others. And so you started Boots from Pros. Tell me more about how that all got started.
Yeah, so I think it was my second or third year in the league. We moved so much, right? Like my husband was living in Utah at the time. And so I, in the off season, I would go visit him, but then I'd have to come back to DC. And that happens every year. So we were just constantly moving our crap, to be honest, like from place to place. And I had like 2 or 3 pairs of like brand new boots that I had just collected over time from like national team camp, and they either didn't fit or I didn't like the color or like something stupid. And I was just like, these are really nice cleats. Like they're like at least $250 to $300 cleats. And like, I never had the opportunity to have like this nice of cleats when I was younger. So I think it'd be really cool to give these to a youth player that could put some miles on these things and just like enjoy them. And also like, how cool would it be if this youth player knew that it was coming from a professional athlete, a female professional athlete. And so that's kind of where the idea was born of like, within the community here in DC, I collect lightly used or brand new boots from all my teammates, and I box them up and I put a note in it from the actual player who's donating the boots. Like they can write whatever they want. Like mine, I think, says, my dad always taught me it's the little things that make a big difference, like go make a difference. And so every single player that donates, I get a quote from them. And then it also comes in with a note from like Boots from Pros, our organization, just kind of like explaining what this is and also encouraging them to pass on the good deed whenever they get the opportunity. And it's been really, really cool. I don't have a number. I need to probably get a number, but we've donated a good amount of boots over the past 3 years. We've partnered with DC Scores. It's a nonprofit in DC that works with local youth just to help boost like confidence in them through poetry and soccer and community service. And so they've been a great avenue for us finding youth players to donate our boots to. And we've got such positive feedback that I'm hoping to continue to grow it into like other markets. But yeah, that's how Boots from Pros came about.
I love that so much. What a cool idea. What opportunities actually do you believe that soccer can bring to girls, whether or not they join the pro ranks? What opportunities do you feel like soccer can bring them?
Oh my goodness, so many opportunities. I feel like I've learned so much just about myself through the game of soccer and sports in general, not only just like confidence and like my abilities, but you create such great friendships and you learn to interact with so many different types of people, whether it's your teammates or your coaches. You just learn so many like social skills that are just important for life. And so I've also traveled the world with like all the soccer opportunities I've had. It's given me like confidence and belief that I can continue to do whatever it is that I want to do, even when soccer's over. It's just like, it's honestly like changed my life. I don't know what I would be doing if it wasn't for soccer. I feel like soccer has just given me this perspective on life that I don't think I would have had without it. And so, yeah, I would encourage anyone that, especially like youth soccer players, girls that are like not sure if they want to continue to play because they don't know if they can play at the next level, to continue to play, just because soccer offers so much more than making it and playing professionally. That's like a huge bonus, of course, but you just learn so much about yourself and about life through the game of soccer.
We're speaking with former Cougar and current professional soccer player Ashley Hatch. Ashley, thank you so much for taking the time with me. Good luck with everything you have going on moving forward. You're incredible. Thanks for your example, and thanks again for coming on with me.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Thanks also to Annie Robinson and Sydney Simpson for producing this episode. Cleon Wall is the senior producer.